Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another commentary done by Diggity on behalf of StarCastTV. Bottom right-hand corner, we have Stork starting as the teal Protoss. Bottom left-hand corner, we have Light starting as the red Terran. This is going to be on Lemon, and if you've not seen Lemon, it is a weird one. So first of all, I guess I'll look at another expansion so I don't have to take away all the side things. First of all, you have these Calderan crystal formations that are plopped down in the other spawns so that they cannot be taken, otherwise this map would be even more ridiculous. You've got 6,000 Vespene geysers, 2 of them at the main here, and a slew of minerals, which means you can sit on one base for quite a bit of period of time and almost works almost like a second expansion. Your actual natural is on the low ground in no man's land, where there's a little bit more buildable area, but there's only 5 mineral patches at 1,500 apiece. And then at the cardinal directions, you have a double 3,000 gas patch, some good minerals there, and center of the map, 8 minerals, and then 3,000 apiece as well. Which means it's very easy to secure your initial 2 gas, a little bit more challenging to secure your 3rd gas, or basically additional expansions from there. You really need some map control, and it's created some really wacky plays. Gateway opener here from Stork. Looks like on 10 is scouting pattern, taking him to the upper right-hand corner first. This is the other issue with Lemon, is you'll notice that there's not a lot of area to construct on if you're Terran in the main, so I think that can be punishing if you're trying to hide some sort of early factory push. This is one of the more interesting of the weird maps that I've seen out in play, and it's been, for whatever reason, in these sponsored matches, it's been very, very popular. Gas grab around 148 there for Light. I will say this map could play out towards Stork's favor, because the players that have had success on it have been, rather than going for Arbiter style, they've gone more carrier style, and there is a lot of area towards the south here. You've got this kind of ramp, and you can plant Dragoons and things here, and you got this cliffside edge all the way across where you can see that can be beneficial for carrier movement plays. Looks like Light's gonna move himself to the upper left-hand corner to get a scout, comes across this probe, should redirect. Yeah, sees the probe, immediately redirects. Looks like Stork saw the edge of that as well, so not gonna bother scouting the top left. Initial marine being constructed should be able to blockade, but we are seeing a factory first opener here from Light. First Zealot already making its way to the bottom left-hand corner, and Stork gonna go 1 gate Zealot into expansion, it seems. Second Zealot on the way, and just presume that unusual to build that second Zealot. Usually you'll see, okay, he canceled it right there. Probe and Zealot catching that Marine out in the open. Probe gonna get some initial damage done, but a nice little thin wall. The Zealot has to walk all the way around. Looks like it's not having an exposed SCV to stop that factory line. The probe down, able to get another shot on a Marine, not taking shots at the Marine just spawning. And that Zealot looks like he's going to be pretty easily... Ooh, actually, take it back. Got 1 Marine kill. So 1 Marine low on health, another Marine has taken a shot as another Zealot making its way across. SCV also making its way in to see that there was a Nexus play. And with that, Stork might have overplayed his hand a little bit. Well, able to get another Marine kill right there. But yeah, Light, you can see, is already... Ooh. Face in the corner there, the alleyway. But Stork might be in some trouble here, as... You got 3 Marines, maybe some additional SCVs, and without the Dragoons, especially with that factory plopping down, it looks like we have a Vulture already on the way out. Cybernetic score is down, but we don't have a Dragoon constructed as of yet, and this is going to give a sizable window for Light. Yeah, he's pulling a lot. So we got 6 SCVs, 3 Marines, a Vulture. I take it back, it's going to be 8 SCVs, 2 just on delay. That Zealot trying to position himself to the north to maybe get the tail end of this. The Dragoon's a ways away from being constructed, so Probe's getting taken out at the natural, and already a bunker being constructed. The Zealot swinging back down. A second is 2 bunkers being constructed, but the Zealot able to get on top of the Marines, away from the Vultures, so the Vulture actually having to engage, and ooh, the Dragoon getting the follow-up kill. So it looks like, yeah, bunkers constructed, but no Marines are going to be remaining unless this happens. The SCV getting some incredible disruption on this Dragoon. Wow, pinning it into the wall. The Dragoon cannot sit and fire. Amazing micro there, and another Marine going to follow up, so at least there'll be a Marine to go in the bunker. Another Zealot and Dragoon making their way out. The Vulture is still trying to get what damage it can. But this isn't over yet. The Dragoon and Zealot actually going for a run-by now. No Siege Tank as of yet. Looks like it's just continuation with Vultures and Marines. This Marine going to be able to sneak past that Zealot. And the single Marine in this group of SCVs look like they're easily going to be able to take this Nexus out. Probe still being produced, however. And some mines in between, so it's going to be a challenge to, first of all, chase things down without actually, with the Nexus getting wiped out. Stork in the red here. Still trying to clear some mines, but that gets wiped out. Maybe he can get some SCV kills, but he's got to be careful moving that Dragoon back to his main as well with the mines that have already been planted. So this has been a good amount of lost mining time for Light overall, but takes out that natural expansion of Storks. Ooh, is going to get probably another Dragoon kill here as these two Vultures continue to push up. And finally, range kicks in where Stork is going to be able to evict that bunker with the Marines out of the natural. Two Vultures sneaking through. Looks like they're going to pocket themselves in that top right-hand corner. And with that mine in between, Stork taking some significant early damage. Still somehow has the worker lead out of that, but at a much later point, usually you want to be much further ahead in the supply count than this exact stage. So, ooh, and another mine. Able to, so a lot of Stork's troops softened up. Looks like Light is going to go ahead. I like the positioning of this command center. A little bit more to the south, making it more defensible. Creating a wall on the front. Has a siege tank out. Those Marines have drawn back. Granted, Light did dedicate a lot of troops. Lost a lot of Marines himself. Armory constructed. Hasn't grabbed his second gas as of yet. Looks like Stork has grabbed that second gas. Robotics facility and observatory to follow. Running off 2 gateways now. These Vultures still, I'm going to keep an eye on those Vultures because they still might have an opportunity down the line to get some additional probe kills. Another SCV making its way out. Interesting play. I'm wondering if this was either a misrally or if this is just to throw Stork off and to try to coax him out, coax these Dragoons out of the natural expansion location. So yeah, swarming there. They are, and maybe just to get that Nexus timing to know when he can move in those Vultures to get some additional bonus kills. Respecting DT and Reaver play, some turrets being placed along that base. Still just one factory from Light. Again, not a lot of surface area to build much more. So 2 gate versus the 1 factory play. +1 weapons already being upgraded, and we already have a Stargate plopping down for Stork. So Stork definitely wants to transition this. The Dragoons moving up to the 3 o'clock location, just scouting things out to see whether they're grabbing a third is even possible, but the Vultures now cycling down and going to be able to get at least another couple worker kills, and that's going to give Light a full advantage. So even in workers now, 2 base versus 2 base. Usually when you're even on bases as Terran, you say that Terran is ahead. In this exact situation, I'm not sure what to call it though, just because of the oddness of the main and the natural expansion. Slew of factories being dropped down, bringing the count up to 4. I would not be shocked to see it move up to 5. Maybe to line up with that +1 weapons and go from a push from there. Stork moving up with that observer, but this push in tech is also going to give Stork time to get some initial carriers out. Observer sneaking in, at least able to see. Ooh, actually he's going to catch that 5th factory being built as well. So 5 factories overall pushing into it. Looks like a lot of gateways. Stork actually, rather than going for an additional expansion, building a slew of carriers. Well, a carrier right this second, but will be a slew of carriers. And a lot of units underneath as well. Not sure what that particular unit did to die. Maybe it got stuck in that pylon blockade. Shuttle moving out just to prevent an initial timing move out. Light looks like he might be trying to hit that timing. Clearing out that egg. +1 weapons a little bit away from finishing. This is a much smaller siege tank count than usual for this time marker, which again I'm going to attribute to the map and early game shenanigans. 8 Dragoons, and it looks like Stork's going to go for it. Moving in, 3 tanks are unsieged, but the forward Zealot's able to get on that front siege tank. The tank's now sieging up, And with this, it looks like Stork, before that +1 weapon hit, is going to be able to wipe out the siege tanks. Reset the count to 1. I don't know that these Dragoons are going to want much more of this. Although, Vultures are all that's left. Several Vultures and a Goliath. And those mines need to get planted in a hurry as the 5 Dragoons now breaching that natural. Stork going to back off. I think he did what he wanted with that attack. Comsat's dropping down. I don't know if... I think that was a very late Comsat station. We'll see some Goliaths get constructed after this. I don't see any Goliaths, so I don't know that the Stargates were spotted with the Comsats. One carrier already out. Some Vultures have snuck in between, and yeah, I think Light has misread the situation. He's checking the 3 o'clock. He's looking for additional bases. Vultures pressing, gonna go ahead and plant mines there. I'm wondering if he Comsatted the upper right-hand corner and that 9 o'clock base. Might get caught off guard. He's going to a 3rd command center, so yeah, this indicates he was thinking Stork has an expansion out there someplace, and he just hasn't found it yet. The Vulture's scrambling, and this is giving Stork some good time to continue to get that carrier fleet up. Granted, Light was going to be able to press into him anyway. +1 weapons just now finishing. +2 weapons on the way, and a dropship making its way across. I assume it's going to scoop up a Vulture. And this is going to be a rude awakening for those Vultures as they land in and probably are dealt with by the carriers themselves. So yeah, the Vultures have snuck everywhere else, and I'm sure Light's kind of puzzled right this side. He's like, okay, you even check the middle of the map. Where is that additional expansion? Finding nothing, and now seeing carriers move out. Photon cannon emergency dropped. These Vultures still going to be able to get a number of kills. Probes defending themselves, battle probes. Able to wipe out what's left. But this looks like it's going to trigger Stork to start moving out with his air fleet. The Dragoons actually clearing out the 3 o'clock location as well. The command center going to try to float out, I assume, to the 9 o'clock for Light, but I doubt he's going to be able to hold that. +1 weapons is finished. +2 weapons on the way. And I think because of the timing of that, actually the upgrade war is very, very important. Those Goliaths are only going to have +1 weapons to deal with the interceptors. 8 in number. Initially getting picked off. It looks like they aren't quite able to, getting an interceptor or 2. But really not taking down those interceptors as they're peeling out. Command center now moving up to the 9 o'clock. A bunch of mines in between, and just 5-6 siege tanks for Light Trader to try to defend all of this. That's going to be a massive challenge. Stork is positioning to maybe grab that 3 o'clock. I was expecting more of an all-in-ish maneuver. More aggression behind these carriers with it. We'll see if that probe remains active. Otherwise, the Dragoons starting to push forward. Clear out these mines. And these siege tanks, there's not a lot of anti-air. 9 o'clock base has been spotted. Vultures managing to sneak all the way around to get back into the natural and main. Cannon has been constructed there. But as this is happening, Stork starting to push in to the south, finding the starport right there, is actually might even want to focus that science facility to negate any additional upgrades. And some Dragoons doing the same thing those Vultures were doing a minute ago, going to move up to that 9 o'clock location, wipe that base out, no defenses, and this is putting a difficult scenario for Light. He's moving up the siege tanks to the north to try to defend this, leaving the Goliaths to the south. But a lot of territory to cover. Sieging up, the Dragoon's going to peel back, walk as far into the base as possible. Actually now walking up and going to engage the siege tanks at range. And simultaneously, going to wipe out some turrets and poke at that infrastructure near that natural. Vultures sweeping up in between this, and the siege tanks should be able to take care of the rest of those Dragoons. But this is leaving an absolute skeleton crew to defend that natural expansion. And if those units can link up with those carriers, it's going to be very, very difficult for Light to repel this attack, as the Dragoons do not do well when they need to split fire between the air and the ground. Siege tank getting wiped out. Stork again in that natural expansion. The mine's going to be able to clear out that initial sweep of Dragoons. Looks like the siege tank's being drawn to the south. Another pack of Dragoons being left. And Stork is basically, he's going to try to win it with carriers alone. He's made no motions to grab an additional base. Right now, up in supply, going to start picking away at what siege tanks are left before commits additional troops. Some more vultures sweeping across. Dragoons are waiting to engage them. Desperation turrets being dropped from Light just to try to buy himself some time against this carrier fleet, which is now 6 in number. It's moving up to the 9 o'clock. Looks like some SCVs already starting to flee to the upper left. They're going to drop some starports here in the upper left-hand corner to maybe get some Wraith out to try to deal with this carrier threat, recognizing that the Goliath maybe won't be enough. +1 weapons has finished. Or sorry, +2 weapons has finished for those Goliaths. +2 weapons is also finished for the interceptors. And that Goliath count is now paltry. Although the Goliaths, rather than dedicating to that attack to the natural expansion, going to engage at the 9 o'clock and wipe that fresh base out. More Dragoons making the way out. Huge supply lead for Stork as he's been continually decimating Light's military. Looks like we do have some Wraith. No control tower as of yet. We do have the control tower to the south. Let me try to see if it is going for that cloak upgrade. Dragoons wiping out everything at the 9 o'clock. And the carrier is now abusing that cliffside edge. And Dragoons pushing in as well. And there's only 2 siege tanks behind this. An observer has found the Wraith being constructed in the top left. So kind of a mental note there for Stork down the line. Let's see if some additional observers get pinned to these carriers. One carrier looks like it's gotten picked off by the Goliath. +1 armor finishing. And now Stork moving up to the 3 o'clock to push out those vultures. Maybe grab that base for himself. Another command center desperately trying to be grabbed. Actually, the observer shimmer was seen. So going to cancel that at the 12 o'clock. The main basically mined out now for Light. The natural expansion still has some minerals left, but he needs to get more gas and more of an economic roll to catch up to Stork, although the supply count's looking somewhat close. Stork actually behind after all of the battering he's taken from all of the vultures, trying to grab that 3 o'clock. That gets comsatted near immediately. The Dragoons marching upper left. Another commands that are trying to be built on the spot. So that's going to get taken out. The starport, yeah, another cancellation. Light now desperate to grab additional bases, starting to bleed resources. The carrier's in a defensive position to try to establish something new, but now Light on the move, recognizing he's going to have to be aggressive to make something happen. But again, potentially leaving his natural expansion and his main somewhat exposed to the counterattack from Stork, especially if he can get those carriers back across the map. The question for Stork is does he have enough ground forces between point A and point B? He's currently just going to go ahead and drop those Dragoons at the 9 o'clock to deny that base. Siege tanks and some mines in between. Some vultures sliding into that 3 o'clock base. Looks like the carrier is going to go and deal with that. Stork feeling like he's far enough ahead that he can sit on his laurels here with the carriers and continue to establish that economy. Checking top right, but it looks like there's a single SCV there again that's blockaded out, so we'd have to build the command center in an off position, do some distance mining to make that work. Light sweeping in with some Goliaths and siege tanks to try to push the Dragoons out of that 9 o'clock location. Carriers actually sweeping out the mines in between. The Dragoons pushing in. They have no Arbiter support, so they're very much outclassed by the siege tank Goliath, very upgraded army, +2 weapons, +1 armor. But the carrier is starting to move out mid-map with another grouping of Dragoons. And Light once again in trying to build another command center to maybe float up to the 9 o'clock and remain hidden, but his natural expansion is basically breached. He'll have to sweep those troops down from the 9 o'clock. Command center still, his starports are floating there out there, and so now Stork actually going to be able to walk all the way in to what I would call a natural expansion on other maps. I'm not sure what to call it on this map precisely. The Dragoon that is going to pin Stork's army here. The Goliath's engaging. The siege tanks now sieging. SCVs trying to defend their own lives. But the carriers all the way in have taken out all of the turrets. The Goliath troop count plummeting. And the carriers look like they're reigning free. Walking right in, might be able to pick off both armories before additional upgrades continue. Light trying to push in, but he just doesn't have the raw troops to take out what's left. In the meantime, Stork has gotten mining there at the 3 o'clock location. So no more upgrades for Light. He still has to deal with the carriers that are picking off siege tanks and other huge armies. The supply is devastated, and the observer going to walk up once again and check that 9 o'clock location just in time to see that command center floating out there. So the carriers repositioning, going to wipe that out. Siege tanks going for a desperation counterattack. Some dragoons right there trying to push them out of position. Going immediately on siege. That command center's gone. So now it might turn into a base race situation. The Goliath's moving out. The siege tank's going to try to wipe out everything from Stork. It looks like the Goliaths might try to move in and march and take out what is at the 3 o'clock location. And Stork working on the factories. Again, a big supply lead, I think mostly in the carrier count. SCVs fleeing want their... So we got, what, 1,000 resources left for Light to potentially build some refugee locations around the map. Another 2 carriers out. Dragoons actually pulling back. 1 misrallied right there. And now, Light no longer mining. Stork's still mining at the 3 o'clock. The Goliaths haven't engaged there. Probe getting wiped out at the 12 o'clock. At least knows that was the SCV evacuation point. Light going to re-engage with his siege tanks at the 3 o'clock. Try to stop Stork's mining there. But as long as Stork sweeps up, takes out those factories, and repositions before another command center is established here at the 12 o'clock. Actually, it's going to be an engineering bay there at the 12 o'clock. Starport being wiped out. Basically anything that could produce some anti-air. The probe's trying to evacuate from the 3 o'clock location now that that base is down, is gone. Some distance mining there at the natural. Second command center being wiped out. Lights does have resources to build yet another command center, and he's got the SCVs evacuated to do so. The observers are waiting to see whether that's going to be a 12 o'clock location grab or not. You also have that observer patrolling towards that 9 o'clock. And this is still a massive carrier fleet making its way out. Wraith joining, actually the Wraith joining in here to peck away at what's left. Stork down to 7 probes overall. The carriers making their way to the 12 o'clock location should run into the starport between point A and point B. Still have a pylon, a little bit else. Did a probe sneak out? That's the other question, because Light might be able to just wipe out what's here a lot more rapidly than Stork can get to the 12 o'clock location, wipe out all these turrets and everything else. Light now out of minerals. Has no additional command center that he's built. Looks like he just wanted to play the waiting game. Maybe float that engineering bay to a corner. So it's an elimination match, pure. 4 siege tanks being left with that Wraith to try to take out what's there. Might turn into a stalemate here at the end, but no. Light going to GG, just recognizing that as a massive carrier count in a wild one. Stork takes it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give a like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.